All right, all you multifamily maniacs, welcome to the Deal Lab. I'm Dr. Heath Jones.
And I'm Hutch, the Marine Investor.
Oh man, today we are going to be talking about a very important topic that a lot of people have some troubles and questions with and when they're starting out. And so the question we'll be asking today is, how can you maximize mentorship programs and networking in order to scale up to buy multifamily properties? Our guest today has been a full-time entrepreneur and investor since 2007. He owns and operates a sales and marketing company that, when he acquired it in 2007, had annual sales of $7.2 million. In the past 13 years, with his team, he grew the business to now $24.5 million in sales. He runs a property management business that controls his rental real estate and holds a general partner ownership or shares in over 654 units across the country. You can find out more about our guest and how you can invest with him by visiting sterlingrhinocapital.com. We'd like to welcome Mr. Chris Roberts. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey guys. All right. I appreciate you bringing me on. I'm doing wonderful today. Thank you. Looking forward to the opportunity to share a little bit.
Yeah, we are absolutely honored to have you here, Chris. You know, you are one of those high-performing people that, we get to mastermind via the Michael Blanc program. And, we definitely appreciate the value that you bring to the mastermind. So Chris, we'll start off. What is your favorite real estate quote or the mantra that drives you?
So it would cover real estate or business in general, but it's inspect what you expect and take care of your people. And in this case, your investors and your contractors as well. So inspect what you expect and take care of your people. Those kind of go hand in hand. And that's probably my favorite real estate quote.
Man, you speak like a true Marine.
Well, I do have some law enforcement background, man.
Okay. That sounds like something my sergeant major would say. I would tell my Marines. I even tell that to my children too. Like, whenever they do something and I come and verify, it's important to inspect what you expect. Trust but verify kind of mindset. So that's amazing.
And take care of your people is a big one as well.
Oh man,
not just for multifamily in your regular job or just working with anybody. You got to take care of the people who are supporting you doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
most
absolutely.
Precious resource.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's good stuff.
Yeah, Chris, appreciate that. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got started in real estate?
Out on my own at a very young age and had, a single parent kind of raising me. Actually went out on my own at the age of 15 and kind of just had to pave my own way and figure things out, and was really fortunate about the age of 18 years old to actually come across the first mentor in my life. His name was Ron. And the importance of mentors cannot be understated. I mean, it's really critical, especially in some of these environments where there's a single parent situation or even someone that's on their own. How do you make it in life? How do you have, let's say, to keep things simple, the bumpers to keep you on a straight and forward path? Maybe you go into the military or get into law enforcement or a Big Brother program. Who knows what, but so many people are just lost out there and can't find their own way. So for me, what started everything was really coming across a mentor in my life. And I won't get into the whole story, but basically took me under his wing because he saw that I had a really strong work ethic. And at the time, I didn't know it. It's just the only thing that I had was my attitude, my energy, and my work ethic, right? I didn't have the college degree. I didn't have the pedigree for sure. And he noticed in me something special. So he tells me later, right? So he takes me under his wing. He's giving me all these books. He's really, really educating me in life and business. And he would eventually push me on to get into a sales career. And that sales career blew up after a while, again, just through sheer will, work ethic, reading, educating myself, and just kind of, I guess the best way to put it is I had a deep fear of failure because I knew what that looked like. And everyone around me when I was younger was failing. And that was sort of your path, it seemed, was, oh, you're just going to fail, or, oh, you're not going to make it, or, oh yeah, you can't do that. You can't do this. And so when he showed me that there was a better way and that success was just beyond that fear, if you will, it sort of grew in me and caught fire. And so in my sales career, I just realized no different than when he mentored me. If I want to be the best, I have to watch the best. I have to study the best. I have to outwork the best. And so I did that throughout my career. And as time went on, I realized, okay, now I'm in a point in my life where I'm making money. I started getting into consumption a little bit, blowing a little money here and there, learned some valuable lessons initially, right? We've all kind of done that. We all do it, man, right? So I started blowing a little money, and then I quickly realized this can't go on. I mean, isn't sustainable. And why did I work so hard if I'm just going to give it to everybody else, right? So I started investing in stocks and started diversifying a little bit. And one day, which I'll keep this short, I sat down with an individual that kind of opened my eyes to the real estate opportunities that were out there. I had not looked at it before. I was caught up in the machine, if you will. I was dumping some money in the stock market and taking advantage of the tax write-offs and advantages and all of that, and thought, well, this is the way, right? It's just like, no offense to college, but it's the same thing. It's like, well, you need to go to school and go to college. Well, no, you don't necessarily have to do that. And there is life if you don't, right? It's not that it's bad, because there's a great path that direction, right? But after a while, when and again, it's hard to explain this, but when I was done with that one conversation with him, it was a dinner. I got home and read 5 real estate books, and it was about 3 months. And I bought my first property, aside from my initial, the house I lived in. And at that point, it was an addiction almost. Like, I've got to buy more properties. I've got to create more cash flow. I've got to create financial freedom. I set audacious goals, like quadrupling my net worth in 6 years. I did it in 4 years. And then I just continued writing goals and just grinding. And every time someone said, no, there's no way you can do it. Why are you buying there? Why are you doing this? It just drove me. It just made me angrier, and it made me want to succeed more. Every time someone shot my ideas down, I just thought, they don't get it. They're missing something. And sure enough, I proved myself right every time. But a lot of it was just sheer work ethic, just grinding. So here today, I'm a multifamily, single family duplex investor. I own assets. I'm a passive investor, and I'm a partner or owner of 5 different companies.
Man, that's incredibly inspiring to hear.
Awesome.
Man, thanks for sharing that with us, because I think it's really important for people out there who may be getting that negative feedback from people they know or people around them, because those people don't understand. I think a lot of people, when they're starting out as well, it's like, oh, I can't buy apartment buildings, they're too big, so I'm going to start small and then work my way up. And then you can sit there and say that, or you could say, why not? I just skip all, everybody I've talked to is like, I wish I would have skipped all the single family and went straight to multifamily. And you can do that. But to get all that started, one of the most common pieces of advice you get from pretty much everyone in real estate when someone's starting out is, you need to find yourself a mentor. And the first time I heard that, I'm like, well, that's easier said than done. Most of the experts in the field don't have time for you. You have to go find them. Then you have to convince them to take you on or to help you out. You're like, oh, I'll work for you, I'll do all this. And I'm sure they get that all the time. So how would you recommend, perhaps, to someone in our audience who's starting out, to find an individual and convince them to be a mentor? How would you guide them in making that happen?
Absolutely. That is a great question, Heath. And here's what I would say. First and foremost, it's not about, well, you hit the nail on the head when you asked the question the way you asked it. How does somebody find a mentor to spend the time to help them to do this, to do that? That's not really a mentor's role, in my opinion. In my opinion, a mentor's role is to draw out of you the potential, right? And if you yourself don't have the potential, you can't see it. Let me give you an example. Can you put in 20 hours a day? Could you do that for a month with 1 day off a week? That's a great question, right? Because most people would say, are you 20 hours? Like, I couldn't. If you said to me, Chris, you're going to be successful and you're going to have wealth and you're going to have passive income and you're going to have anything you want in life, right? Truly. But I need you to work 20 hours a day for the next 3 months and just trust me. Most people would say, well, I don't know. And they'd start making up these excuses. They'd start putting these firewalls in front of them. The fear would start creeping in, right? How do they do it? I'm going to do my best to answer that question, but I would say it starts with this. What are you truly capable of? Have you ever tried to run a mile just to see how fast you could actually run that mile, all out until you couldn't go anymore? And what was the time? Probably 30% more than the fastest you ever ran it, right? If you knew that there was something at the end of that finish line. And that's what happens with a lot of people. They want someone to drag them to success. And that's not what a mentor
Mm.
program is. That's not what mentors are, right? Mentors are successful people who cut their teeth on 20-hour-a-day workdays, right? They're people who failed and got beat down over and over and over again in most cases. They're people that don't have time to drag 25 people through that are just going to make excuses and not do the work, right? And we see that a lot. And trust me, because the reason I'm saying this is I mentor people. I don't get paid for it, but I've done it many times in my life, whether it be taking them from bankruptcy to 750 credit scores, or it be a relationship situation. I just have a lot of life experience for my age, and I've been able to articulate well and guide people. But it always starts with, what are you going to change? What are you going to do? And how hard are you going to work? And I'll give you a couple of quick examples. I have offered many times to people, okay, you want this? I'll tell you what, I'll pay you this if you do this job. And I get people drag their feet. They come to work for a day or two, and then they stop working because it's hard work, or because they think they can make more money somewhere else. They don't realize that by working side by side with me, regardless of if they're making an extra dollar or less or whatever than maybe they would have made out of the field, they're going to be gaining hundreds of dollars an hour worth of mentorship from me working alongside them, right? But a lot of
Right.
people, they're not willing to take a pay cut. I'm not saying I do that all the time, but I do it as a test. It's like, look, I'll bring you on. Here's what I want you to do. And then they don't last very long because it's all about the dollar for them. It's all about, what do I think I'm worth? Not what am I actually worth, and what am I going to put in to show people I'm worth that. It's, I just want this, and then I want success as a result. Life just
Right.
doesn't work that way. One last nugget on how do you find a mentor, and what do you do to gain success in a mentorship program? First and foremost, look in the mirror and just ask yourself, what am I willing to do to get what I want? And what I mean by that is, if I bring a mentor on, do I truly understand what it's going to take to buy a $10 million asset? Do I really understand the workload it's going to take? Am I prepared to spend less time with my kids? Am I prepared to not watch TV reruns for 5 hours a day and play video games, right? Am I prepared to know that I'm going to have to work my initial job and do this on the side, but that I'm going to have to put at least 15 to 20 hours a week in on top of my regular job to gain any type of success? Because you may not get a building overnight, but you'll earn your mentor's respect through sheer work ethic, right? And you might say to that mentor, hey, what can I do to help you be successful? Because as you're successful, I'm going to learn along the way. Not how much money can I make? When can I get in on my first deal? Just, hey, what can I do to work alongside you and put as many hours as possible in to show you that I'm worthy of the success that you have? That's kind of the mindset you almost have to have getting into anything. And if you can do that, you'll rock and roll. Oh, just one last little note, if I may. I've had people actually in real estate programs tell me that, yeah, I got in and I started working, and then I realized, man, this is a lot of work, and I got my career, and things are going well there, and I don't know. It's not right for them, right? It's not right for them. So
I do like your analogy of not approaching someone that you are looking for them to be your mentor with the idea. I guess no one walks up to them thinking like, hey, drag me to success. In the questions you're asking that person, it becomes real evident what your intentions actually are. It's, how can I learn from you by adding value to your operations versus how do I get on your next deal so that I can get credibility to go out on my own? You know, there's a very clear, I've come across from talking to people who are mentors, is that it's very evident when you're talking to someone what their true intentions are by asking you to be their mentor. I've heard some people say, I hate when people ask me, let me buy you a cup of coffee and pick your brain for an hour. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to be able, you know, first of all, my time is worth more than a cup of coffee. Second, I'm not going to be able to secure your first deal in an hour. And so I really like the way you frame that. And I really think our audience should think about that whenever they're approaching someone as a potential mentor. So that was great. Like
great information for both you gentlemen. A question I like to ask, you know, this, not necessarily looking for anything in return, you know, but creating and improving relationship, right? A simple question as, Chris, what problem are you trying to solve right now? Or Chris, what are you committed to right now that you're having some problem with? You know, and then make every effort to find solutions to the problems that you're creating. I mean, that you're dealing with. And I think that's a great question. right?
Absolutely. Can
You know,
I
so
give you an example of can I talk about Michael Blanc's program for a second, just to give you an
Yeah, that's
yeah.
fine.
example?
So
Yeah,
that leads into
absolutely.
the next question. Which
Yeah,
next question?
sure.
Let's
Go
dive
ahead.
into that. So next question, Chris, is you're a very successful guy. You know, you grew a company from, you know, $7.2 million to over $20 million. That's over 300% growth. You have had some mentor along the way, and you have grown several companies, few companies. So you are the epitome of what a lot of us would call success. Why did you find it important to have a mentor for real estate
Yeah.
syndication?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for acknowledging, let's say, your version of success. People have said to me, "Oh, you're successful," or you're developing wealth or passive cash flow or whatever." I've always just looked at it like I want to get to a certain goal, and once I
Right.
get there, I have freedom. Like in my mind's eye, right? Success is like subjective, right? But for me, it's I really just wanted freedom of the system, freedom of money controlling me. I've kind of put myself in a position to be there now. And so, how did I get to success and how did mentors help me? If that's a specific question, the answer would be, well, I had the work ethic because I was sort of forced into it by having nothing when I was growing up. That mindset was sort of forced. I struggled. I had to grind it out. I had to sort of naturally prove myself, if you will. And then someone acknowledged in me or saw that I had that in me, and then they carved and shaped that into what would become a successful or effective person. What you do though is you take that and you realize, okay, that's not everything. Reading a book or making a little money is not everything. If you want to be a multifamily investor, for example, you could read a bunch of books. You could get on Bigger Pockets or wherever, and you could get pretty proficient at analyzing a deal or maybe some of the terminology. But what you're not going to get proficient at is all the pitfalls that can come up, the legalities, the issues that could cost you millions of dollars and failures. And so where a mentorship program comes in, there's general mentorship, let's say outside of real estate, where people are going to help teach you that you need to get your finances in line. Because regardless of how people tell you you can do this stuff for free, it's very helpful to have some capital to build your platform or to look credible to lenders or whatnot. So it is helpful, not necessary, but it is helpful. So you might get a mentor to help you with your finances and get you dialed, or business in general, or your social media platform. But a multifamily mentor is going to put bumpers on and guide you along so you don't fail or lose your investors' money. And they're going to bring you along with their experiences and teach you the hard knocks. But I want to give you a specific example as it relates to Michael Blanc's program, because I'm part of their program. Love it. What's great about their program is they are not babysitting you. And these programs aren't cheap, but it's not unlike spending a bunch of money up for a college degree or a business because you love coffee and you decide to open a coffee shop. You invested $100,000, you lost it all because you realize Starbucks is a juggernaut or Dunkin' that I can't compete with. So why wouldn't you spend some money to further your education in multifamily and let these people take you along? They're going to guide you. They're not going to babysit you. So you're going to have to work. And that's the key. If you want someone to drag you, don't join a mentorship program. If you want to be successful, join a mentorship program, because now you're exposed to the Slack channels. You're exposed to Dealmaker Mastermind, the Zoom calls, podcasts like this, just great people that are in the business sharing ideas, and real people that are doing real deals like me that are willing to share information with you, right? You can't get access to that stuff generally without being in some sort of a mentor program. And so it will pay dividends for you, but you have to find the right fit. You know, it could be Joe Fairless, it could be Neil Bawa, it could be any of these guys that are out there, Rod Khleif, or Michael Blanc, right? But you have to find the right fit for you, and you have to execute once you get into that program. And as it relates to me, I was in the program for about 2 weeks and got on my first 100+ unit deal. Within 2 months, got in on another 104 unit deal, and my program paid for itself within like a few months. So it wasn't even an issue. And I'm working on my third deal now, along with other assets that I already had. So today I control like 750 doors or whatever, or I'm passively invested in as well. So it's critical to have a mentor of some sort. You have to decide how much you're willing to spend and how you are going to maximize that program to get a return on that investment. Don't expect them to drag you through the mud, and it's not going to be free, but it's going to be worth it.
That's great information, man. What I find to be very impressive is that even though what a lot of us would consider a very successful guy, you know, building a company 300+% into 20 million plus, is that you still find value in a mentor. So I can imagine if for those who does not have your drive, your experience, your success, You know, I mean, it could be an intimidated process, right? But also they could see a lot of way forward, a lot of success to be had down the road. But you was already successful, so I think it's pretty cool that you find value in mentor.
Thank you. One last thing on the mentor part. Here's another thing is when I get this question a lot from people in the program that will reach out to me on Slack or call me or email me. They'll say, I'm looking for a team, or I'm looking for a partner, or I'm not sure where to go from here. And we get that a lot, right? Because just because you spent some money, you got to do a program and you have a mentor, it's hard because you're still sort of on an island. You don't have someone in your house just dragging you around, right? Analyzing deals and such. So what I tell people is this: even if you're in a mentor program, you need to figure out what your value proposition is. Who are you to a deal? Who are you to the business? What is it that you're really good at? Are you good at capital raising? Are you good at spreadsheet? Are you good at analyzing deals? Do you have extra time that maybe others don't? Do you have high net worth? Do you have capital? What are the elements that are value propositions that you could share with somebody, even your mentor, to where they could then guide you to other team members or take you in with them, maybe perhaps on a deal? Most people, it's taboo to talk about money. That's ridiculous. Yes. We should have talked about money all along.
I was just about to say that. I mean, say the same thing. You know, a lot of times it's one of the toughest things is talking about capital, and one of the ways that I've sort of sorted out partners. I don't know if I'll keep this in the podcast, but is people would come up. You know, when you start meeting and masterminding, and people want to partner up, it's always like, oh, and then I'm like, well, I don't have any capital. I know where I am now, but same thing. I spent a lot of my life. We finally had a little bit of money. We bought the stuff that we wanted to buy because we were able to finally. We've gone on trips around the world, but now I'm getting serious. I don't have any money. And it's so funny how quickly, when you tell people you don't have money, their desire to work with you just sort of, they ghost you. It's like, I feel like I bring a lot of value to the table. I feel like I have a lot of things that I can contribute. I don't have the money, but it's really funny how quickly people disappear at the beginning. Absolutely. When you say you don't have money.
Yeah, but Heath, you do have cash flow though, right? So
now, since I started investing in multifamily,
right? Yeah, so a lot of us who might not have, you know, several $1,000s sitting in the bank, but you know, at some point, as a real estate investor, we will exhaust our own capital, right? And that's where syndication comes in, raising capital from others and taking down larger deals. You know what I mean? So sure. It should never be discouraging when speaking to a fellow investor and they say they do not have any capital. They probably just mean they don't have it in the bank, or are they resourceful enough to actually raise those capital? You know what I mean? So those are the type of things that we're looking for when talking to fellow syndicators. You know?
Yeah. So Chris, you know, if people who are listening have maybe done some research and been on some forums, there's kind of a debate out there. The question is, when it comes to the debate of finding a mentor or paying for a mentorship program as opposed to joining a mastermind forum, what would be the benefits? Blanc's program, he offers both. You can do the coaching program, or you could also be a part of the Dealmaker Mastermind Forum. Is there advantages to having an actual mentor that held you accountable versus going out and outsourcing posting?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are advantages. Again, it's a cost. I guess a cost analysis evaluation you have to put in place. You have to say, okay, well, if I spend, I'm just going to use a rough number, but if I spend $10,000, what's my ROI? What am I going to get for that $10,000? If I spend $500, what am I going to get? And most people are very fearful of spending $10,000 because it's maybe they got 20 in their savings account or something, right? So you have to say to yourself, there are no guarantees. Someone might tell you there's a guarantee, and sure, you might get on a deal. But is that what you want? Like, you want the minimum? Like, you want to get drug onto a deal because you spent money? Like, no. I mean, so if you have that mindset, like, okay, I'm going to spend X because I'm guaranteed to get on a deal, that's the wrong mindset, right? There's nothing wrong with getting in on Dealmaker Mastermind, let's say for a couple $100 or whatever they charge for it. Great. That's a minimum. I mean, you got to be in those tight circles of people because there are deals being made. There are smaller teams and beginners and people, and they're actually partnering with each other. A matter of fact, in DealMaker, that's how I came across my first deal, was someone asking for help. And I got in and I took the lead and I started helping, and boom, 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 we were moving. Well, without the DealMaker Mastermind, that would not have happened, flat out. I mean, at least in that environment, as quickly as it did, right? I could have been on Facebook and stuff, but I mean, you know, you get a lot of different single family investors and things on Facebook. Same thing with real estate meetups. You can talk to people all day, but most of those people are doing their own thing. They're flipping houses, right? They're dealing with REITs. They're dealing with notes. And, you know, that's not the circle necessarily that you want to be in, even when you're trying to find new investors. So I would say there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff, but take some action and figure out where your comfort level is, and make sure that your finances are in check. Don't spend your last dollar to get into a program thinking you're going to be rich. It doesn't work that way, right?
Right.
Go drive right into the focus round.
Is there any other advice you might have?
About to ask that.
Yeah. Is there any other advice you might have? You know, some lasting piece of wisdom that you would want to impart on to someone about how to find a mentor, how to decide whether they're a mentor is a good fit for them, or any other piece of information? We'd love to hear it.
Everyone has to find sort of their own, I guess, strength point or focal point in their life. People use, well, my kids motivate me, or my wife, or, you know, failure, whatever it is. You got to figure that out in your life. Okay. So once you figure that out, I a long time ago drew up my own sort of mantra, and it is that I am not a victim of my environment or my circumstances, but I am the results of my actions and my attitude. And I don't have time for fear in my life, because I'm out achieving my dreams. And that may sound kind of silly to people, or like, oh yeah, that's my mantra. I made that up, right? And the reason I did that was because I needed something to drive me through the darkness. I needed something that I could go back to and say, yeah, you know what? The environment around me, the economy, that jerk who put me down, that's not what dictates who I am. It's me. It's my attitude, my action, my work ethic, right? And I've got things I want to achieve in life. So I'm not going to let anyone get in the way of that. Fear, the bully, the naysayer. I'm just going to keep focused with my head up and looking forward. And if you can come up with your own sort of mantra that will drive you, and you get into a mentor program, that's a heck of a foundation for success. And it doesn't have to be a mantra. It could be a saying. It could be a picture on the wall. It could be a person in your life. But you have to have, a lot of people will call it your why or whatever. You have to have something. And then if you apply that to a program, and then you get the right team on board, you're going to rock and roll.
And for our listeners, you know, feel free to use Chris's mantra, because that was a pretty dope one.
Thanks, man.
All right. So yeah, we'll go ahead and head into the focus round, our nifty little acronym to get to know you a little bit better. F is for fun. Chris, what do you do for fun?
Well, I love going to the gym and working out with my wife. I like to scuba dive and mountain climb. Used to golf, just don't have time for it. Don't have time actually for any of the stuff I like to do, except for the gym. That's priority, your health. And then I also really, really enjoy teaching. I love being interviewed and sharing and just helping people, because someone did that for me long, long ago. And it's for that I am successful today. I really enjoy giving back, man. I love it.
Oh man, that's great.
That's great,
I like
man.
that.
What was one opportunity that was a game changer for you, Chris?
It was when my mentor, Ron, at the age of 18, took me under his wing and not only showed me what I was capable of as an individual, but pointed me in the right direction to execute what I was capable of. And that's critical, because he truly opened my eyes. And I have dedicated a lot of my success to him, whether it be in a book or going down and visiting him to my success. And I just love him and his wife so much, because they took a chance on me when no one else would. And I will never forget that.
So I should have asked this earlier. How did you meet Ron? How did that interaction come about?
That's such a funny story. I was interviewed and I actually went into depth about that once, but basically I was working at a hot dog cart of all places, and he saw me hustling, and he came up and out of the blue and just said, long story short, I've been watching you. It's a great story actually, but the short story is I've been watching you and love your attitude and your energy. Got to have a guy like you. And I'm like, what do you sell knives door to door? Like, who are you? Like, right? I'm a hot dog cart guy, dude. Like, why would you even want to talk to me? Like, what, I'm nobody, right? That's the way I felt, honestly. And he said, no, you don't get it. And he came back and had a conversation with me, and he pulled me away from that place because he saw something special inside that I could not even see. And he cultivated that and got me into reading a lot of books. And then I honestly, wholeheartedly owe him everything. Like he completely opened my mind, and I just had the work ethic because I was so proud to be part of his world. I just wanted to prove to him that I was worthy of being there, that
Mhm.
he pushed me to success. Like it's hard to even explain. I'm getting goosebumps, honestly, talking about it because I remember it so vividly. Like the day I went out to his house, start working on the property, cutting trees and teaching me problem solving. And it's just so exciting that someone in this world could take somebody who otherwise probably should have just failed and make him who I am today. Of course I have a lot to do with that, but it was he who put me in that position. And I just want to pay that forward.
Oh man, I think one of the key takeaways from that is if you work hard enough and long enough, your passion won't go unnoticed by others, right? And
Absolutely.
that's pretty, and you weren't even doing it with the intention of this is going to be the end game. That's just who you were and how you were doing it, and having someone else witness that and pull you to under their wing is a really cool story. It's very inspiring. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Sure.
All right. So for the focus round C, communication, what is your most important communication tip?
Well, to be a good communicator, you have to apply the knowledge you're gaining correctly. So you can't just have diarrhea of the mouth and just talk all the time. You have to be a clear communicator and apply that knowledge correctly. And you have to understand the people that you're communicating with, right? Covey said it best, Stephen Covey, first seek to understand, then be understood. So you have to understand people, and then you can communicate clearly with them, and that will get you to where you want to be. I've sold a ton of stuff. I mean, I've sold almost $500 million worth of products and services. Those successes or achievements started with listening to my clients and understanding them, and then communicating clearly on how I could help them get to their goals. And that's how I got there.
That is nice. I like
Incredible.
that. I like that.
It's
That is
incredible.
especially as a salesman, that is specifically important because a lot of time we're trying as a salesperson, you're trying to solve your clients' problems, right? And the only way you can do that is to be able to listen to them and then put that thought into action and solve their problems, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
what is one thing you wish you understood earlier, Chris?
It's really two parts, but what it boils down to is I would have achieved my goals a lot sooner had I understood the importance of the return on time. So when I put time in, what do I get for it, and how do I maximize that time? Because there's just no concept when you're younger. Like you just do things. Like you're young, you're gonna last forever, and blah blah blah. It's like working. Well, I'm supposed to work 8 hours a day. No. If you want success, work 20 hours a day. I mean, at least you'll have twice as much as 8 hours a day if you did that, right? So there's that. And then also the power of appreciating assets and cash flow. Those two things together are truly what I wish perhaps would have taught me early on, because then it would have been ingrained as well as the other things, and I could have accelerated a lot quicker. But the reality is I'm very thankful for what I have, and I'm very effective at what I do, and I love it. I don't look back. I have no regrets. But if I had those two things earlier ingrained in me, I would have probably reached it a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I knew about what the difference between an asset and a liability a lot sooner than I did. I just thought you go to work, you get a paycheck and spend it on what you want, and as long as you taking care of business that way, you're good. Realizing that no, you could spend your money on things that make you more money. Like what?
Yeah.
Really cool.
For sure.
Why didn't I do that sooner?
All right, Chris. We talk a lot about mentoring, right? But one of the biggest things we talk about is about your individual efforts, right? So from your perspective, Chris, to what do you attribute your success?
Again, kind of a two-part, but it's relevant. So when I was younger, I attribute my success to just sheer fear in my life. I had a lot of adversity, rough neighborhoods I lived in. So just fear, adversity, and the challenge of getting through sort of motivated me. I didn't know at the time what, but it definitely motivated me. And then in life later, it was mentors. It was settling down with my wife. It was diversifying and investing the money that I was bringing in appreciating assets and creating multiple streams of income and cash flow that I definitely attribute to my success today. So it started out one way and then morphed and adjusted into another, which is why you have to continually educate yourself and bring mentors into your life, because your life shifts, you mature, you change, and you flow like water. And if you don't have people alongside you and put things in place to keep you flowing the right direction, you can fail. So that would be my answer.
If our audience wanted to get in touch with you, Chris, how would they do it?
Well, there's lots of ways to get a hold of me. You can reach me at www.sterlingrhinocapital.com. That's the business logo behind me on the wall. You can reach me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. We're coming out with a whole new marketing campaign that's going to be out there all over the place. I'm on Zoom a lot, offering free material and trying to educate. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of ways to reach me. So we would love to help you out any way we can, and we'll be here for you.
Excellent, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today about mentorship and networking and the importance of that and reaching your goals as someone starting out, or even if you're successful in what you're doing now and you want to move to the multifamily space, the importance of seeking out a mentor and networking as well. So we can't express how much we appreciate you coming on today. We're really grateful.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Chris.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So Chris, is there anything that you're working on that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, well, we're always working on projects at Sterling Rhino Capital, but one of the things I'm most proud of is, as I stated earlier, I really just want to give back, and I'm really proud that I had the opportunity to work for a mentor, and he taught me some of the values and paying it forward and giving back and such that I can execute today. So I wrote a book kind of telling the story about my life, just the struggles when I was younger, building a sales career and then getting into real estate and some of the other businesses that I've diversified into. And 100% of the profits of our book go to Feeding America. We partnered with them as an enterprise partner. And as a result, Tony Robbins matches every dollar that we donate. And you end up feeding somewhere between 10 and 80 people per book. So if you go on to, it's cool, man. If you go on to Amazon and you look me up, you can find the audiobook, you can find the ebook, Spanish, paperback. The book is called You've Earned It: How I Refused Anything Less Than Success, and you can too. And we fed almost 77,000 people so far. I think 100% of the sales go to charity.
That's incredible. That is paying it forward on so many different levels. That's incredible.
It's been awesome, man. We give them out to kids, and anytime I come across somebody through some of the mentor stuff I do, or working at the rescue mission or doing whatever, I give them out. I keep them in my car all the time, and people just really dig it. Again, it's not specific to real estate. There's some real estate stories in there, but just more about overcoming adversity and just trying to inspire people, man. It's been really fun.
Man, I love that.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank all of you listeners for staying with us throughout these months as we've been doing this podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Heath Jones.
And I'm Hutch, the Marine Investor, out.